Hey guys, so this is going to be a little series, I guess, and I'm gonna call it Sunday service because every day we're gonna read the Bible together. That's what this is about. It's about reading the Bible together. I'm gonna take notes, discuss. I want you guys to start commenting down below so we can have actual discussion about what we read and everything. And it's just this will help everyone understand the Bible better, and I need to understand the Bible better. But I also think it's really good for everyone to read the Bible, and I think this will make it a little bit easier because everyone sees it and they're like, big book, I'm scared, blah, blah, blah. No more excuses, guys. We're going to read this Bible and we're going to read it good. So, welcome to my new series called Sunday Service. Obviously, I got to wear my Trust God hat. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my little outfit of the day. Real quick, this is it. Small little outfit. Nothing too crazy. Got my Starbucks, so we are ready to go. The Gospels according to St. John. So I have OCD a little bit, so the way that I'm taking my notes, I'm going to break it up into the different Gospels, and then I'm going to put in what I had highlighted, and then I'm going to explain it, if that makes sense. So I'm going to highlight 1 through 4 in The Word Becomes Human. So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And there was a man sent from God whose name was John. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. I'm going to highlight 6 through 9. I want everyone to know that I highlighted this because this is the part where it's introducing John. It's letting us know who he is. He was sent by God to bear witness to this light. The next one is John's testimony concerning Christ. So I'm highlighting 15 through 17 because this is John telling us that he bared witness to this light. He bared witness to God, to the Lord, to Jesus. He has bared witness. He has truly believed. He has given his life. He has surrendered himself to the Lord. And he truly, truly believes in the Lord. Those first 3. And he says, his fullness have all we received. And grace for grace. For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. I think that's beautiful, so that's why I highlighted that. And I also highlighted number 34. It's the very end. It says, and I saw and bear record that this is the Son of God. So this is John now speaking and sharing that he did bear witness. He truly believes in the Lord. He believes this is the Son of God. And this is him testifying. This is his testimony. The first disciples. I highlighted number 42. He's introducing us to Simon, the son of Jonah, and he's telling us that they call him Cephas. I don't know how to say it. Cephas, which by interpretation is a stone. And I highlighted that because I want to put in my notes when they give us the definition to things because I just need to know this. So that's why I highlighted it, and that's why I'm putting it in my notes. Alright, I highlighted verse 4, Jesus saith unto her, Woman, what have I do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. So I highlighted this because I think a lot of us go through this. We believe that, or we let ourselves believe that we are not ready for something, that we are not fully prepared, that it's just not our time yet. And throughout this passage, you'll see that his mom was like, she believes in him. She knew he was ready, and she wanted him to get out of the mindset that he's not ready because he is. We don't think that we're ready. We don't think we're prepared, but we know that we are. We just like to psych ourselves out and believe that we're not. And so I highlighted this verse because I believe this speaks very heavily to me because there have been many times where I'm like, I'm not ready, I'm not good at this, and then I perform amazingly, and I'm like, wow, I just have so much more confidence in myself. And I think it's beautiful. Jesus himself felt this way. So we're not alone. We're in good company. But let us be a little bit more like Jesus and just go for it. Just go for it. Stop. If we all listened to our fear, we would go nowhere in life. We would be stuck. And that's the devil. Your fear is the devil playing in. Don't let the devil win. Be more like Jesus and actually go for it. Know that you are prepared. And remember that if it doesn't fully work out, that there's a lesson to be learned there, and you can learn, grow, get better, and do it again. And it'll be so much better. So I just want everyone to remember that one. That one's good. Okay, what I took from this one, verse 16, and said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence, make not my Father's house a house of merchandise. And I took out of that was, this whole passage was, we need to stop living so materialistically. We need to live more, we need to be present more and in the moment. And remember that life is not the clothes that you have on. It's not the $500 pair of shoes. Life is the people around you. Your legacy that you leave behind is your children. So we need to remember that's our goal. Our focus in life is to be one, to love each other the way that the Lord has loved us. And remember that he wanted to remove the merchandise because he didn't want people to think that that was the Lord's house, was just merchandise, was just stuff. We're not just stuff. Our lives are not built on the stuff that we have. It's built on the character and the way that we live our life, the way that we treat each other, the way that we love each other. What I took away from this one is Jesus is saying that we can be born by flesh, but to be born again in the Spirit is so beautiful. And the way that I perceived it was, he was saying if we get baptized, we are born again through the Spirit, or if we surrender to the Lord's will, that we are born again in the Spirit, that we are surrendering our flesh, our worldly views. We're surrendering all of that to live by the Word. So we're no longer living by the world, we're living by the Word. You can be born by the flesh, but you can also be reborn again by the Spirit. I'm going to highlight verse 35 and verse 36. I highlighted these two because the Father, this gospel is telling us that the Father loved his Son. God loved Jesus. And God loved him so much, he believed in him so much and trusted him that he gave all things into his hands. We who believe Jesus have everlasting life. We who live by the Word and not the world have everlasting life. And the ones who don't will see the full wrath of God. So remember to always live by the Word and not the world. We are all humans. We're all sinners. Nobody is perfect. We are not the Lord. We're not Jesus. We're not God. We are all sinners. But if you try every day to sin less and to become more, then we will all be bigger. We will all be better for it. So if any of y'all have seen my other podcast on the Begin Again series, then I've already talked about this one a little bit, but what I'm taking away from this is everyone seems to, in here he's talking about the Jews. They went off to go find meat for the Lord, or for Jesus. And while they were gone, Jesus was at a well with a woman from Samaria. And he tells her to get him a drink. And she says, I don't have a cup. I'm simplifying it in like today's terms so you understand and it's easier. She says she doesn't have a cup, she can't get it, blah, blah, blah. Well, then he tells her, she basically figures out who he is, and she then goes back to Samaria, and she tells the men, and they're like, oh my goodness. So then they go out to find the Lord. And the Jews have already came back at that time, and they're like, why are you speaking with this woman? She's had multiple husbands. She's not a woman of God. She's not who you should be speaking to. You shouldn't be seen speaking to someone like lower than yourself. Well, the Jews get humbled very quickly by the Lord, and he's like, aren't you also a sinner? And so this is the way, this gospel is basically telling us or showing us that the Lord himself speaks to everybody. He loves everybody. So when we try to make ourselves seem like we're better than someone else, remember that the Lord doesn't do that. And that's very worldly of us to do. And it's not wordly of us to do that. And so then the men come back and they speak with the Lord, and they didn't believe that he was the Lord because of what she said. They believed he was because of what they saw. So what I took away from that is, this is one of the Gospels where they're explaining to us that this is one of the first times that people are starting to pick up on who Jesus is and his miracles. And they didn't just believe it because of what they heard. They had to see it for themselves. And that's what so many of us do nowadays, is we listen to like gossip, as I've been saying in my beginning series, is people listen to gossip and they just believe it word for word, but you don't see this stuff for yourself. And I've fallen victim to it, and I have definitely sinned and done this, where I will say something about someone and someone believes that that's who that person is when it's not. And I don't do that. I don't believe that something is the way it is just because of what I heard. I have to see for it myself. And I think this is one of the teachings that this gospel is giving us. Look at things, we can hear what people say, but go and find the evidence yourself. Go and see for yourself. Don't just blindly trust people. Imagine how amazing that felt. Like, to just be her in that moment and just realize that you're sitting next to Jesus and not even knowing it. And then just imagine you're sitting next to Jesus and you don't even know it. I wonder if she just felt his presence. Like, if she could feel that it was him. That would be amazing. Jesus had testified that prophets have no honor in their own country. And the way that I took it was him saying that they're a prophet. Their purpose is to go out and spread the gospel, spread the word. And if they're staying in the same area where they've already spread the word, so everyone is aware. But a prophet, it's to spread it more, to have more people be aware, more people live by the word. And if you're staying in your area, then how are you honoring the Lord? How are you being a true prophet? And so that's what I took away from that part. This man had came up to Jesus, his father came up to Jesus and said his son is dying, or was at the point of death. And Jesus had said, you won't believe, you don't believe. And the nobleman said to Jesus, come down ere my child die. And Jesus was basically saying, go thy way, thy son liveth. When his son liveth, the father truly believed. He saw for himself, and he believed that the Lord, or Jesus, was who he was, and he believed in the Lord. And because of this was one of Jesus's first miracles. Not his first, but one of his first miracles, and it's allowing more and more people to see and believe who he is. And because he is doing this, these people now live by the word, and they truly believe him. So I think this isn't his first miracle, but I think this was one of the first ones where they were like, wow, the things he can do, the person he is, I truly believe I will live by the word. And so this one is very impactful. It's very important. By the sheep market in Jerusalem, there is this pool, which is called, in the Hebrew tongue, Bethesda, having 5 porches. So I'm writing that down. I suggest everyone does as well, because it's just good to have your Bible vocabulary. In this pool is impotent people who are blind, who can't walk, who are elderly, and an angel went down into the pool and troubled the water. So whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole. A certain man was there that was 38 years old, and when Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had now been a long time, he said, who thou be made whole? And he answered him, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool, but while I'm coming another steppeth down before me. Jesus said, rise, take up thy bed and walk. And one important thing to take away from here is this is during the Sabbath. And so immediately the man was made whole, and he took up his bed and he walked on the same day of the Sabbath. And that's very important for us to remember, that Jesus saved this man and helped him walk during the Sabbath. And then after Jesus had saved this man, he went and he spoke to the Jews, and he was telling them that he just saw Jesus. He saw him save him and make him whole. And so he was spreading the word, telling people what had just happened. And now the Jews want to, because it was on the Sabbath, the Jews now, they want to persecute Jesus. They want to slay him because he did it on the Sabbath. So he performed his miracle. He saved this man. And because it happened on the Sabbath, the Jews now want to persecute him. And so we all need to remember that the first thought, at least for me, the first thought of the Jews and everyone being against Jesus was because he had performed a miracle on Sabbath. And so that's very, very important for us to remember. And so this one begins with verse 18 verse 17, where Jesus is saying he's the Son of God. He's saying that he is Jesus. He's the Son of God. And the Jews, they want to kill him even more. They want to persecute him even more because they believe that he is lying, saying that he is the Son of God, making himself equal with God. And he's trying to proclaim to them basically throughout this whole passage is that he is Jesus. He is who he says he is. He is the Son of God. So it basically starts out with Jesus saying he is who he is, and the Jews don't believe him, and they want to persecute him even more because he's saying that he's the Son of God, that he's equal to God, and they just don't believe him. So this whole gospel is him proclaiming who he is. He's trying to explain that he is the Son of God so that they believe him. And so now Jesus, he's going over the Sea of Galilee, which is also the Sea of Tiberias, and a lot of people followed him. He had a lot of followers behind him. And he had a lot of people following him because they saw the miracles that he had performed. They believed in him. They believed who he was. And he went up into a mountain, and there he sat with his disciples. And this is now the Passover. So Philip now is telling the Lord that basically they don't have enough food for everyone to eat. And Jesus said, basically, make everyone sit down. He said, watch what I do. Have everyone sit down. Jesus then took the loaves. He took the bread. He gave thanks. So Jesus then took the food, basically the loaves and the bread, and he gave thanks to it. And once he did that, he distributed to his disciples. Once his disciples finally ate and they were full, he basically said, gather up all that remains. And so Jesus took the leftovers basically and put them into these baskets to give out to everyone. They saw him perform this miracle to feed everybody. And then the Lord he thought that they were going to come and get him. He thought that the Jews from before were going to come and get him. And so he set off into the wilderness alone. And this is, if you watch my Begin Again series, this is actually, I spoke about this slightly in my last episode. We think that being alone is a bad thing, has such a negative connotation, but God knew what he was doing when he was sending Jesus into the wilderness alone. He was preparing him. Now, his disciples have entered into a ship, and they went over the sea towards Capernaum. And it's now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. So they had rowed about 5 or 20 furlongs. They rowed for a minute. And they see Jesus walking on the sea. And he's getting closer to the ship. And they were now afraid. And he said, "It is I, be not afraid." And they willingly received him into the ship. And immediately the ship was at the land where they wanted to go. And so what we can take away from this is Jesus went on his own way. And the disciples found him again. He was walking along the water, and he told them, "It's him, do not be afraid." And so they were no longer afraid. And they took him back in onto the ship, and they were where they needed to be. They ended up being where they needed to be because they believed in him. They were not afraid. They trusted him fully. And so we need to remember that every day, is the world is so loud that we need to silence it out and believe and listen to Jesus and the Word. So now, this is the following day, and people had came to the mountain where they had Passover, basically, and they saw Jesus isn't there, and neither his disciples. So now they're like, whoa, where are they at? So then they followed. They were trying to find Jesus. When they had found him on the other side of the sea, they found him. And so Jesus is now saying that you didn't come to find me because you saw the miracles. You came to find me because you ate the loaves and you were filled. You were full. He's telling them, don't work for the stuff that perishes. Work for what can give you everlasting life. And the Son of Man shall give unto you, for him hath God the Father sealed. And so they said, what should we do that we might work the works of God? So they're basically asking, what can they do? And Jesus answers, this is the work of God. You believe on him who has sent. And so he's saying that he's the work of God, and them trying to look for Jesus and trying to do this, that this is the works of God. You're trying to become better. You're trying to seek better. He was telling them that Moses isn't the one who gave them that bread, but it actually came from God the Father, giving him that bread from heaven. And so he says, for the bread of God is he which cometh down from heaven and giveth life unto the world. And so he is basically saying that you have your life because of God. And I highlighted verse 34 and 35. It says, they said unto him, Lord, evermore give us this bread. And Jesus said, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth on me shall never thirst. Now these disciples are saying to Jesus, Lord, give us this bread. For which Jesus then replies, saying, he is the bread of life. And anyone who comes to him shall never be hungry, and they shall never thirst, because he is life. And so when we follow him, when we come to him, he is giving us that everlasting life, that eternal life. And so I highlighted those two because those two stuck out to me. They seem very important to me. Is that we come to him seeking these perishable things, or these small things, that we shouldn't be coming to him for the small things. We should be coming to him for everlasting things, for long-lasting things. Alright, so we're going to stop there today, and in the next episode, we will finish that was part 1. In the next episode, we'll do part 2. But what I want everyone to take away from this is the Gospel of John, St. John, and he's basically introducing who he is. He then introduces us to Jesus. He's telling us that he's letting us see that Jesus also goes through some of the things that we go through, and he had to spend that time for himself to grow and become who he is. And then he starts performing his first miracles, and people start following him, believing in him, and seeing who he is. And then he performs a miracle on the Sabbath, and now this is the Jews' first thought of, like, we're gonna get him. They're trying to persecute him because he performed a miracle on the Sabbath. And he continues to go through and perform these miracles. This was a good introduction to John and Jesus, and how John was sent by God to bear witness to Jesus' miracles, so that everyone was aware. Next Sunday, we'll do the part 2 to the Gospels of St. John. And so I hope everyone enjoyed this first part. I hope it helped you. I hope you took your notes. Comment down below so we can discuss and your viewpoints and how you perceived it, because how I perceive it and how you perceive it is completely different. So comment down below and let's discuss, and in the next episode we'll finish the Gospels of St. John. So I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, God bless and have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody. Happy Sunday.